Ex-Attorney General Malami denies terror financing allegation. He described the allegation as unfounded and unfair, stressing that he has never been investigated, interrogated, or charged by any security or intelligence agency within or outside Nigeria over terrorism financing or related offenses. And he goes on. I will not read any further. I'm going to point out all the important parts of this article. Then now we interrogate the matter to see whether or not there is any meaning to all these stories. Former Attorney General Abubakar Malami under Buhari's administration. Firstly, Attorney General claimed that he has never been charged by any security or intelligence agencies within or outside Nigeria. Do you know why? Because it appeared to me as if the former Attorney General does not understand the word first offender. Perhaps I can give it to him for free. Every day is for the thief, one day is for the owner. That is the meaning or the reason why you've never been in the past charged or investigated for terrorism financing. Yes. The fact that you have never been charged or investigated before does not mean that you are not doing something. It can mean that you might be more resourceful than those investigating you. I still remember some corruption you were indicted with. In the past in Nigeria, $2 billion of crude oil sold without remitting the money. That was one of the charges laid against you, Abubakar Malami. So this cannot be unconnected with what you are being accused of right now. And he went ahead to say that when he assumed the role of Attorney General, that Nigeria was grey-listed by FATF, which is Financial Task Force. They probe countries where there is a lot of sponsorship of terrorism and money laundering. Through their banking system, those are the things they will look into. After doing investigation, they will now grey list you. And when you are placed on a grey list, it's a kind of an economic sabotage on a country. So my question is, how did you manage to remove Nigeria from a grey list with the amount of terrorism sponsorship going on in Nigeria? Perhaps you knew people who does it off the book for you. You were more resourceful than we thought. During the time of Joe Biden administration, even Obama's administration, you guys did what you wanted in Nigeria. No one was held accountable. You were removed from CPC. Under your administration, even though there was still Christian genocide going on in Nigeria. How did that happen? You were more resourceful than we thought. You guys were free doing what you want. That's why you were able to remove Nigeria from CPC under Joe Biden and the Obama's administration, because you couldn't have done it, through the book. Having seen the amount of terrorism sponsorship going on in Nigeria as at that time. If it was not a bad door, how would you have done it? Because the terrorism impact as at that time was getting, worse. And many governors were indicted in such act. So how would you have done it? Does that mean that those people do not do their due diligence? They just listen to you. They don't carry out their probe properly. So there is something next to it. It cannot be just that alone. Now, after you, Nigeria has been placed as a country of particular concern because of the impact of terrorism and the targeting of Christians in Nigeria. What did you do that removed you from there? Even these things were worse. There were a lot of terrorism sponsorship as at that time, yet everything was swept under the carpet and Nigeria was removed out of grey listing. Perhaps there might be corrupt officials like you tapping you at the back and say, do what you want as long as you give us what we want, right? But it looks like the new administration in the United States is not in good terms with you guys. They are exposing everything you did because you did it under the previous administration. Who tapped you at the back? Only to realize it's no longer business as usual. This was the same man who went to Kenya, kidnapped and extraordinary rendition on Nnamdi Kanu after 8 days of torture, only to declare it constitutional. He single-handedly manipulated the system to set aside the ruling of appeal court on Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's case. Through his selected judges, they granted stay of execution against Nnamdi Kanu's case. And they did it in a contempt of court because they must obey the initial judgment before or until the stay of execution is granted by the court. In the report had explicitly stated that he was not accusing him or other individual of financing terrorism. Rather, the claim referenced alleged business or institutional relationships involving some suspect, details Malami said were subsequently distorted into misleading narratives that his political opponent exploited for mischief. Now, pay good attention to interesting part. Terrorism financing is a grave crime. Any attempt to associate an individual with such an offense must be grounded in verifiable facts, not conjecture or guilt by association, he said, warning against weaponizing routine institutional engagement to malign public officials. Is this still you, Malami Abubakar, who charged Nnamdi Kanu with terrorism and treasonable felony? You went to Kenya, kidnap and torture him for 8 days. That is an act of terrorism. Like a terrorist you are. You went in there, you kidnapped him in Kenya. Extraordinary rendition him. It is only a terrorist who goes to other people's country through a back door to kidnap and torture individuals, extraordinary rendition them back to Nigeria. Nnamdi Kanu did not commit act of terrorism, yet you guys gave him life imprisonment without any verifiable evidence. Now you are now telling us there must be a verifiable evidence. There was no link of anything connecting Nnamdi Kanu to all the crime or committed in Nigeria that will now tag him as terrorist. Nothing. There is no physical material or evidence that link him to anything with terrorism. All hearsay and the broadcast he made, which you have no jurisdiction to even try him. Yes, you tried him without any verifiable fact, as you stated here, grounded in verifiable fact, not conjecture or guilt by association. Nnamdi Kanu is guilty of terrorism by being an Igbo man, so he's guilty by association. Olugo na nke unu mawa law.